after he did that to my daughter just a few minutes ago, he lost it.
Ma'am, slow down.
He grabbed my hand and started scratching me. I tried to get him off me.
He slammed the door on me. It hit my shoulder.
Okay, hold on. Let me see.
She gets mad when I don't listen. When I was like 11, she kicked me in the face with boots, kicked me down there.
The quiet of the neighborhood is broken by the sharp ring of a 911 dispatch. On the other end of the line is Rochelle Mitchell, her voice high and shaky. She tells the operator that her 18-year-old son, Darius, is out of control. She claims he is trying to break into her house and has already hurt his sister, Tamara. Rochelle sounds terrified, like a mother who has nowhere else to turn. Within minutes, the blue and red lights of a police car reflect off the windows of the suburban street. Officers Brennan and Vasquez pull up to the house, expecting to find a dangerous criminal. Instead, they see a young man standing near the sidewalk, looking more tired than angry. Rochelle rushes to the front door, her face red from crying. She points a finger at Darius and screams that he needs to be taken away. She tells the officers that she is pregnant and that Darius has no respect for her or the safety of the home. The officers step out of their car, their body cameras recording every move. They have been trained to look for clues, but right now, everything is a mess of loud voices and wild accusations. Rochelle is begging for help, claiming her son is a monster. Darius stands silently, watching his mother put on a show. The big question hangs in the air: is this a mother in danger, or is there a much darker story hiding behind her desperate plea? Officers Brennan and Vasquez pull up to the driveway, their tires crunching on the gravel. As they step out, they see Darius standing near a pile of bags on the lawn. He isn't running or shouting, he is just standing there with his hands in his pockets, looking defeated. Officer Brennan approaches him first, keeping a safe distance but speaking with a firm voice. He asks Darius what is going on and why his mother is so upset. Darius sighs and looks at the front door, where Rochelle is still yelling from behind the screen. At first, the officers are confused. Rochelle is screaming that Darius tried to break in, but the bags on the lawn are packed very neatly, almost like someone carefully moved them out instead of throwing them in a hurry. Officer Vasquez walks up to the porch to talk to Rochelle and Tamara. They both start talking at once, describing a scary scene where Darius used his weight to force the door open. The officers listen closely, taking notes and looking at the family. On one side, they have two women claiming they were attacked. On the other side, they have a young man who says he just wants his clothes. The air is thick with tension, and the officers know that their first impression of this violent son might be wrong. Officer Vasquez stands on the porch as Rochelle begins her story. She speaks quickly, her voice cracking as she tries to sound like a victim. She tells the officer that Darius has no right to be at the house and that he forced his way in just to cause trouble. She claims that when she tried to stop him, he grabbed her hands and started scratching her. To make her story sound even more serious, she reminds the officer that she is pregnant, implying that Darius was putting her unborn baby in danger. Rochelle holds up her phone to show pictures of marks on her skin, claiming they are fresh injuries from the struggle. She explains that she has voice memos and other recordings because Darius gets out of hand so often. Every time she speaks, she looks at the officer with pleading eyes, trying to use her emotions to win him over. She paints a picture of a house under siege by a violent son, hoping the police will take him away in handcuffs without asking too many questions. While Rochelle talks to one officer, Tamara pulls the other aside to give her own account of the fight. She tries to back up everything her mother said, adding more drama to the narrative. Tamara claims that Darius didn't just walk in, she says he sounded or slammed the door on her with great force. She shows the officer her arm, pointing out where her skin is red and torn, claiming these are marks from Darius trying to drag her out of the house against her will. However, as Tamara describes the attack, her timeline starts to get a bit confusing. She tells the officer she was busy changing her son's diaper when Darius suddenly charged at her, thinking she was going to throw his stuff back outside. She claims she was caught halfway in the door and had to pull herself back in to escape him. While her story sounds scary, the officers notice that the way she describes the chokehold and the struggle doesn't quite match the marks they see on her body. Tamara is working hard to make Darius look like the aggressor, but her small mistakes in the story are the first signs that things aren't exactly as they seem. While the mother and sister continue their loud complaints, Officer Brennan walks over to the sidewalk to talk to Darius. Unlike his family, Darius is very calm and speaks in a soft voice. He tells the officer that he isn't the one who started the fight. He explains that he just came to the house to get his clothes because his mother had locked him out for no reason. Darius shows the officer his own injuries. His shirt is ripped right down the middle, and he has scratches on his face and lip. He tells Brennan that Rochelle and Tamara are the real aggressors and that they attacked him together. He says that Tamara actually got him in a headlock and that his mother scratched him while trying to steal his phone. Darius looks over his shoulder toward the street, mentioning that his girlfriend, Inez, is on her way to pick him up because he doesn't feel safe at home anymore. Even though the mother and sister look like the victims, Darius's quiet story and his torn clothes make Officer Brennan start to wonder if the violent son is actually the one who was being bullied. The calm conversation with Officer Brennan takes a dark turn as Darius begins to talk about his past. He explains that the anger Rochelle is showing today is not something new. He reveals that he has lived with her violence for a long time. Darius looks away, remembering a specific time when he was only 11 or 12 years old. He tells the officer that his mother once got so mad while he was playing a video game that she kicked him right in the face while wearing heavy boots. He describes another painful memory of being kicked in his private areas and being beaten while he was trapped on the stairs. As he speaks, a clear pattern emerges. Rochelle has used her boots and her strength to hurt him since he was a young child, all while telling everyone she would never lay a hand on him. Darius also mentions his father, Jerome, noting that he isn't around to help or stop the abuse. This isn't just a fight about a door or some bags, it is the breaking point of a son who has been hurt by his mother for years. Officers Brennan and Vasquez step away from the family to compare their notes in private. As they talk, they realize that the stories Rochelle and Tamara told do not match the physical evidence at the scene. Officer Vasquez points out that while the women claim Darius was a violent intruder, the house doesn't look like a struggle happened. More importantly, the chokehold the story Tamara told starts to fall apart. She claimed she was defending herself, but the marks on Darius's neck and his ripped shirt suggest he was the one being pulled and grabbed, not the other way around. Professional skepticism begins to grow in both officers. They notice that Darius has very specific injuries that match his claim of being attacked, while the women's injuries look like they could have happened while they were trying to pull him out the door. The officers also talk about the victim act Rochelle is putting on, noting how she keeps bringing up her pregnancy to make Darius look worse. They decide they need to look closer at the details before making any arrests, as the violent son narrative is starting to look more like a carefully planned lie. The officers turn their attention to a very important detail, the bags sitting on the lawn. Rochelle had told the 911 operator that Darius was trying to break into the house, but the way his things were sitting outside did not match her story. Officer Vasquez looks at the bags and notices they are packed neatly and stacked carefully near the sidewalk. This doesn't look like the work of someone who was kicked out in a hurry during a violent fight. When the officers ask Rochelle how the bags got there, her story starts to shift. First, she claimed that Darius voluntarily left and put his own stuff outside. But then she admits she doesn't actually know how the bags landed out there because she was busy with her other son. The officers realize that someone is lying about the bags. If Darius had really been the one who put them there, he wouldn't be fighting so hard to get back inside to get his property. It becomes clear to Brennan and Vasquez that the bags were likely put there by Rochelle and Tamara to make it look like Darius had already moved out, even though he still legally lived there. As the officers continue to question the women, Darius makes a move that changes everything. He tells Officer Brennan that he has several recordings on his phone from the last hour. He explains that as soon as the police left the first time, Rochelle and Tamara dropped their victim act and began attacking him again. Darius holds out his phone so the officers can see the screen. The video is loud and aggressive. It shows Rochelle standing inches from Darius's face, her eyes wide with anger. She is caught on camera screaming, "Get out! Get off my freaking property!" In the footage, Darius is just sitting on the couch, trying to stay quiet while his mother and sister yell at him. Officers Brennan and Vasquez watch the screen closely. They see that the women who acted so scared just a few minutes ago were actually the ones being loud and mean when they thought no one was watching. The officers realize they need to review all the footage because it seems the 911 call was just the end of a much longer fight where Rochelle was the boss, not the victim. Officer Brennan takes a moment to think about the story Tamara told. She had claimed that during the fight, she managed to get Darius in a chokehold to stop him from being violent. But as Brennan looks at Darius and then at Tamara, the physics just do not make sense. Darius is a much larger and stronger young man, while Tamara is smaller and currently dealing with the physical limits of her own life. The officers begin to reconstruct the scene in their heads. For Tamara to have put him in a headlock, she would have had to be the one moving toward him, not running away in fear. They realize that a victim who is truly scared doesn't usually jump onto the back of a larger person to start a fight. Instead, the marks on Darius's neck and the way his shirt was pulled from the back suggest that Tamara was the one grabbing him to keep him from entering the house. As the officers demonstrate the movements to each other, Tamara's credibility starts to crumble. Her story of being a helpless victim simply does not match the way a real fight happens. The officers decide to look closely at the front door to figure out how the fight really happened. Tamara had claimed she was just standing there when Darius sounded or slammed the door into her face and body. However, when the officers check the door and the hallway, the physical evidence tells a different story. They realize that for Tamara to have the injuries she showed them, she had to be the one pushing against the door from the inside while Darius was trying to push his way in from the outside. The truth begins to emerge. Darius was simply trying to enter his own home where he legally lives, and Tamara was using her body to block him. Because Darius is stronger, he was able to push back, and Tamara likely got scratched or bruised by the door handle and the wall while she was trying to keep him out. This means Darius wasn't attacking her, he was just trying to get into his house while she was acting as the aggressor at the door. The officers realized that Tamara's injuries were actually caused by her own choice to start a physical struggle at the entrance. Officer Vasquez decides it is time to face Rochelle and Tamara with the facts. The officers walk back to the front porch, and their tone is no longer sympathetic. Vasquez looks Tamara in the eye and tells her that her story about being a helpless victim does not match the evidence. He challenges her claim that she never approached Darius, pointing out that his own video shows her standing right in his face, screaming and mocking him while he sat quietly on the couch. Rochelle and Tamara immediately become defensive. They start to offer more lies, but the officers stop them. Vasquez brings up the missing bag, pointing out that they finally admitted it was sitting outside the whole time, proving they were trying to lock Darius out of his own home illegally. Tamara's face turns red as her admission slips out. She had actually been the one to approach him first while he was just trying to mind his own business. The evil twist they tried to put on the story is falling apart right in front of them, and for the first time, the mother and daughter realize that the police are not on their side. Officer Brennan stands in the kitchen and makes a final decision. He looks at Darius and then at Tamara. He tells them that because of the video and the physical evidence, he is going to cite Tamara for battery. Rochelle's eyes go wide, and she starts to shake with anger. She cannot believe the officers are choosing to believe her son over her and her daughter. She tries to argue, but Officer Brennan holds up a hand to stop her. He explains that the video clearly shows Tamara jumping on Darius and trying to hurt him, which is against the law. Darius feels a sense of relief, but he also looks sad. He has finally been vindicated, but he knows his relationship with his family is broken forever. Officer Brennan explains that he isn't taking Tamara to jail right now only because her young child is in the house, and he doesn't want to involve child services. Instead, it is an arrest on paper, meaning she still has to answer for the crime but can stay home for now. Rochelle continues to pace and growl in the background, furious that her plan to get Darius arrested has completely backfired. Officer Brennan pulls Tamara aside to explain exactly what is happening. He tells her that she is being given a citation for battery, which is like a serious ticket that serves as an arrest on paper. He explains that he is not taking her to jail right now because her child is in the house and he doesn't want the little one to be left alone or taken by the state. Tamara looks pale as the officer tells her she has 3 days to show up at the City Hall court to answer for what she did. If a judge finds her guilty, she could face up to 90 days in jail. Hearing this, Rochelle starts to panic. She stops yelling for a moment and asks if this criminal charge will hurt Tamara's chances in her other court case for custody of her son. The officer tells her that the criminal court and the family court are separate, but the look on Rochelle's face shows she knows her plan has caused a huge mess for her daughter. What started as an attempt to get Darius arrested has turned into a legal nightmare for Tamara. The tension rises as the officers explain the law to Rochelle. Even though she wants Darius gone, Officer Brennan tells her that because he has lived there for so long, he has legal residency. This means he is a tenant, and Rochelle cannot just throw him out or lock the doors whenever she feels like it. She is told that the only way to get him to leave forever is to go through a proper legal eviction in court. Rochelle becomes even more furious, shouting that she doesn't care about the law. Officer Brennan warns her that since Darius lives there, if she locks him out, he actually has the right to break a window or a door to get into his own home. He tells her that the police wouldn't even be able to charge him for breaking in because it is his house, too. Rochelle screams, "I don't care," and continues to insist that he has nothing left in the house. She refuses to listen to the legal facts, showing that her anger is more important to her than following the rules. As the investigation ends, the mood at the house becomes very cold. Rochelle is furious that her plan failed, and she stands on the porch, glaring at Darius. She demands that he leave her property immediately, screaming that he is no longer welcome in her sight. The officers step in to remind her of the law one last time. They explain that because he has residency, Darius doesn't legally have to leave just because she is shouting. He has as much right to stand there as she does. Darius looks at his mother and sister, and then at the bags piled on the grass. He realizes that even though he won the legal battle today, staying in this house is dangerous for his mental health. He decides to leave anyway to stop the fighting. Just then, a truck pulls up to the curb. It is his girlfriend, Inez Rodriguez, coming to take him away from the chaos. As Darius begins to load his neatly packed bags into the back of the truck, Rochelle doesn't stop. She stands on the edge of the property, screaming at the top of her lungs, "Don't come back to my house." Darius doesn't look back, he just gets into the truck and closes the door. As the truck pulls away, Darius watches his childhood home disappear through the rearview window. He is finally safe with Inez, but the weight of the day sits heavy on his chest. He has no bed to sleep in tonight and no clear plan for tomorrow. But for the first time in years, he is not being yelled at or blamed for things he didn't do. Officers Brennan and Vasquez stand by their patrol car, finishing their paperwork and discussing the case. They agree that the video evidence was the only thing that saved an innocent young man from a night in jail. The road ahead for Darius is not easy. He has to decide if he will take the officers' advice and sue Rochelle and Tamara in civil court to get back what he lost, or if he will simply cut ties and never look back. Tamara must prepare to face a judge for her actions, and Rochelle's reputation as a victim has been stained by the truth recorded on the bodycams. The narrator leaves us with a final thought: while the physical scratches might heal, the bond between this mother and son is likely broken forever. Darius is free from the handcuffs, but he is starting his adult life with nothing but the clothes in his bags and the truth on his side.